Falls aren't random. You're probably doing the wrong things to prevent them, and the advice you're getting isn't helping, which means you could be at risk. Most of it comes from well-meaning guidance at the doctor's office, the senior center, or even online, but it is just incomplete. Every year, 14 million older adults fall down in the US. Many of them were active, careful, and even thought they were doing the right things. Yet falls lead to hospitalizations and a loss of independence, even in people who think they're fit. So, what is really going on here? I'm a home care physical therapist who sees countless patients every single week following falls. In this video, I'll break down the 5 biggest mistakes most fall prevention advice makes and what will actually keep you on your feet. So, why does most of this advice fail? Let's start with one of the biggest issues: balance. You're probably wondering, balance? Isn't balance exactly what we need to prevent falls? Well, we hear all the time from everywhere that balance is key. And then we think, well, good balance, what does that mean? And a lot of us think good balance means standing on one leg. That's what we see on TV, in yoga class, in magazines, in the senior center that advertise these classes about balance. But will standing on one leg and your ability to do that for long periods of time actually prevent a fall? Well, standing on one leg and being able to have that balance to stand on one leg for 30 plus seconds is great. It's good for your hip stability, your knee stability, and your ankle stability. But here's a problem. Let's take this example that I use all the time. Say you're walking down the street and you hit a patch of ice. You're not expecting it. And all of a sudden your balance is thrown off. Well, does your ability to stand on one leg actually stop you from falling in that scenario? And unfortunately, no. What does stop you is how quickly you can right yourself and how quickly you can move your foot to get your foot out so you don't fall. And that actually comes down to your reactive balance, which is totally different than static balance and something that's not nearly talked about enough. And this same concept applies, doesn't just have to be out on the street with ice. It's in your house. If there's a piece of clothing on the ground, a dog leash, a small dog, a child's toys, newspapers, books, any of these things that people trip over, scatter rugs in particular, if your reactive balance is not up to par, it doesn't matter how long you can stand on one foot. And that's really the truth, even though no one talks about reactive balance. So let me ask you, when was the last time you moved your foot quickly? Because if you can't remember, and if you're not playing sports, doing dance, or something along those lines, you might want to think about adding in some reactive balance just to help your reactive ability when you trip, because you will eventually trip. We all do. You can check out other videos I have on how to improve your reactive balance to get a little bit more detail on this concept. The second piece of advice that's probably failing you is when we hear just walk more. Walking's great, but it's not going to prevent the fall. And if it's all you're doing, you're seriously missing out on other stuff. We hear about 10,000 steps and think there's some magic to it and it cures all things with health and fitness. And yeah, walking is great to keep moving. It's great for weight loss and it's good for your health, but it's not going to help you reduce your fall risk. And if you go to the doctor and they tell you to just walk more, just try to be active, that's not the whole story. Walking's not going to help your leg strength, doesn't help build your quad or thigh muscles, and it doesn't help your reactive balance. All things that we really need to prevent the fall. Now, I'm not saying give up on walking or sit on your couch all day, but if you think that just walking alone is enough to stop you from falling, you're going to be mistaken. And I see patients all the time after they've fallen and broken a hip when all they did before was just walk. And they ask me, I don't know why, and say, I don't know why I fell. I walk so much. I did 10,000 steps a day. I walk 5 miles every morning. And the key is that walking just is not enough. You can check out my earlier video on why walking alone isn't enough to reduce your fall risk and stay stronger as you get older. But for the purpose of this, it's the number 2 most common fall prevention advice that we hear all the time, and it's just not true. All right, number 3 is a minimal emphasis on quad strength. This is the backbone of everything that I believe in. Leg strength is so important as we get older, but we hear all the time, you got to exercise, you got to go to the gym, you got to do this, and it's going to help you prevent falls and stop yourself from getting weak. But what does that mean? We can go to the gym and ride the bike, do the elliptical, do the treadmill, all these things that aren't actually reducing your fall risk. So you have to be a little bit more specific if you really care about reducing your fall risk. And having strong legs, in particular strong quads, is so important. Number one, it makes everything in your life easier. Number two, if you happen to trip, along with reactive balance, being able to get your foot out and having a stronger quad will better stabilize your knee, hip, and foot so that you don't go down. So I would do this if you're not doing any strength training yet. Start with one set of sit to stands every day. Build up to doing 30 in a row, either from your toilet, from your recliner, or from a couch. And then from there, you want to progress to things like step ups, split squats, and lunges to further improve your quad strength. But make sure if you're just hearing, you gotta exercise, you gotta get strong. We have to know what that means. And the most important thing you can do is get your quad muscles stronger. So start today. Don't wait. Number 4 is the avoidance trap. This is the avoid everything mindset that so many older adults pick up on. And I think the first thing I see it start with so often is avoid stairs. My doctor or my daughter or my son or my husband told me to avoid stairs because they're dangerous. And yes, falls do happen on stairs, but not if you've been staying strong on them and continuing to do them. Falls happen when you get weak and your confidence goes down, and that's when I see people start to fall. It's just like everything, use it or lose it, and this applies to stairs as well. Just the other day, I had a 97-year-old patient who I've been working with for months going up and down the stairs using a handrail and a cane and holding a conversation with me the whole time and barely even being out of breath. But the thing is, she's never stopped doing it. And people like that realize the importance of it and realize that you're getting strength from stairs that you don't really get elsewhere in your day to day. And if you can do stairs, you're not going to trip on curbs, you're going to be confident outside walking on uneven terrain. It's just so important. But that's just the first thing. There are so many other things we're told to avoid as we get older because it's going to make us fall or has the potential to hurt us. Things like avoiding uneven terrain and only walking outside on perfectly flat sidewalks on dry days. Avoiding doing anything quickly. This goes along with the reactive balance I talked about earlier. If you avoid moving quick and avoid moving your feet fast, you're going to be more likely to trip. Now, I'm not saying to rush through stuff, but there are times in life where you can do stuff quickly rather than completely avoid that. And then lastly, avoiding carrying things like groceries, heavy bags, luggage, laundry. The list here goes on, and you see so many adults avoid things like this because they're worried about falling or hurting their back or hurting their shoulder from holding on to it. But carrying is so important. And not only would I encourage you to keep doing things like this, but doing stuff like farmer's carries and suitcase carries, where you hold 2 dumbbells or 1 dumbbell or kettlebell and walk with it, is a great exercise that prepares you for doing activities like this. So keep that in mind. When you're told to avoid something, I would question if you really should be avoiding it. Because the people that I see that continue to do these things into their 80s and 90s, they can keep doing them without a problem and no falls. And lastly, number 5 is an overemphasis on environmental safety. I'm sure you've heard this if you've thought about ways to prevent falls around the house. Get better lighting, tape down your rugs, watch out for small pets, be careful on the stairs, make sure you wear shoes, don't wear slippery socks. All these things are great, but environmental safety can only get so far if you don't focus on the other things we've talked about, like improving your strength, your balance, your fitness, and doing hard tasks. Think about this example. Let's take an NFL running back, someone who's super strong, super fit, super conditioned. If they go in the most dangerous, cluttered house with poor lighting, they're probably not going to fall no matter what happens. But if we take the other end of that and we take an 85-year-old deconditioned adult who's barely left their house, who has weak legs, who has poor reactive balance, who can barely stand on one leg, and put them in the safest house ever, there's still a fall risk. So the environment can only get you so far. And yes, we do want to maximize these things. We don't want to be doing stairs in the dark. We don't want scatter rugs in our hallways that we could trip on. We want to make sure there's not dog toys and leashes and books and clutter all over the ground. But don't stop there, because you have to get your body in shape to deal with these kind of things, because inside your house or outside your house, there's going to be unexpected obstacles. And if you only work on the environment safety, but don't fix your body, you're going to be at risk. So there you have it, the 5 biggest mistakes in fall prevention advice. Balance alone isn't enough. Walking doesn't cut it. Leg strength is crucial, but often underemphasized. Avoidance actually leads to weakness, and focusing only on your environment won't protect you. Real fall prevention is about being capable. Keep your legs strong, actually challenge your balance in real life ways, and keep moving your body with normal everyday tasks. That's what will keep you safe. And you know what? If you do happen to fall and you've been doing all the things I recommended, you will be a lot better off than if you follow the typical fall prevention advice. And always remember, you can't safety proof the world around you, but you can make yourself capable enough to handle most of it.